Hello everyone, I'm Larry from Fixed Team. Today is the last lesson in our CPU course. Removal of the A10 RAM. The method of removing the A10 RAM cannot be applied to A10 to A13. Any model can use this method. Why are we going to change this A10 RAM? Many times after the phone motherboard falls, the resulting large current or the top RAM is cracked. This situation is generally a RAM failure. You can use rosin to smoke on the CPU when powered on with a large current. If the CPU is hot, it is basically a problem of the RAM. Then, how to judge whether the RAM is short-circuited on the schematic? Take a look at the schematic. This is our A10 today, using the motherboard of iPhone 7. The RAM only needs to measure 2 lines. Let's take a look at which 2 lines. The first, C1860, this line. Then C1860, here see the SD-RAM marked. It is the RAM, the 1.8 voltage power supply on the RAM. Then we go to see the second power supply line. The C1861. There are 2 lines on the RAM. This is the second line. Then see the lower left corner, SD-RAM 1.1 voltage power supply. If the CPU gets hot during the CPU maintenance, you need to measure whether the resistance of these 2 lines is normal, or that there is a case of pulling down value. There may be damage caused by the RAM. Generally, it is high power on current. Next, let's take a look at the mobile phone to be repaired. Take iPhone 7 as a case today. Use the A10 board to demonstrate. Then disassemble. Pat a tissue. Remove this shell cover. First, cut the shell cover here, because we will separate later. Removing the shell cover is used for temperature 390 and wind speed 40. iPhone 7's shell will be more hard than iPhone 6. Then blow on the shell cover. Because the shielding cover has a higher melting point. If we take it like this, it is not easy to take. You can use tweezers to press the SIM card holder side. Use the SIM card holder as a fulcrum, and then remove the shell. This will be a lot easier. Then the shell is taken off. Then wipe off the thermal paste on the CPU. Remove the A10 RAM also to remove the edge glue. But we do not need to remove to the bottom of the edge glue, because we only need to remove the upper part. So you only need to remove the RAM part glue. It is probably just about half of the side glue. Then I use this curved blade. First, remove the edge glue. Only need to remove half of the edge glue, because only the RAM needs to be removed. The temperature is 300 and the wind speed is 30. Let's deal with the top glue first. Now start cutting the edge glue. No need to cut to the end, just cut in half. Be careful of these inductors when cutting, it is easier to drop. If the surrounding inductors are encountered and it is loose, if it doesn't work, the phone may not turn on. After finishing the edge glue, also see if the boot is normal. Only half. Do not cut to the end, half the dip. Including this side, also only need to cut in half. To the depth of the RAM. No need to cut too deep like remove CPU. Also deal with this side, mainly because there is a lot of glue on both sides. Be careful of glass chips when cutting here. Don't break this glass chip, because the RAM and the glass are kept flat. You don't need to care too much about scraping here. You don't need to remove it here. Then the glue is removed. After removing, look at this RAM. Look at this RAM. we can clearly see that the upper RAM is a circle smaller than the lower one. Here is the lower level. Here is the RAM. Here is the dividing point of the RAM. The yellow area is the dividing point of our RAM. We also scratch it with a blade. It is a mark when we are pry. Cut here. At this time, we make a mark. Later, we can start to pry the RAM. Before prying, check if the current is the boot current, because we check every step. Do more check, we will know about which step caused the failure to boot, so that you can find the reason. Then look at the current. Because its CPU is hot, the current will be a little bigger. This is normal, it is floating. See if it can be opened. This current can be turned out normally. After you can open normally, make sure there is no problem with this step. Then you can start shoveling. If this is bad, shovel the broken RAM. Then look at the blade we are going to use. There are two kinds of blade to choose from. One is this flat. Anyway, it is flat. This one of texture is a bit harder. This is number 17. This one will be softer. Then this will be a bit harder. This is number 4. This will be harder. This kind of softer. Then we can choose both in prime RAM. But we use number 17 this time. It is softer. This can better protect the lower layer. Now install the blade. After installing the blade, like the mark we just made, this is number 17. It is one-sided. We use the one without the front, shovel like this. Let's shovel the RAM. Then we just mark with the blade. Just extend the blade here. The temperature of the hot air gun is 300, use it for removing glue just now. Then we lower it. 30 degrees lower, with 270 temperature. 30 degrees lower than the temperature of the glue removal. It will be safer. Okay, let's start. On this side, correct the position just now. Write the mark just made. Then use the air gun blows. Okay, the first one, entrance, open it. This is very hard. So we also need to open the entrance. To ensure that the RAM can be removed more smoothly. This entrance is opening now. This is the green layer. Then after opening this entrance, the thin point below, don't go to cut the thin point directly. This may damage the thin hole surface. So let's shovel it first, this thing above the thin point. After shoveling the things above the thin point, we will deal with the other fine. Okay, we just extend the blade like this. Then reach in and pry this apart. You can see this layer, green, and this yellow. This is equivalent to the insulating layer of the RAM. Green. Now we remove the insulating layer of the RAM. Then we must use this as a plane to dismantle the upper RAM violently. This method does not need the grinder, pen, and CNC. Because the price of CNC, the cost is too high. CNC is definitely the safest and the most reliable method. But without these foundations, you can only do it in this way. Without these tools, this method is used to deal with the RAM only when it is basic. Continue to insert along this plane. Layer by layer. Then we take a look. Then we continue along this opening. A little bit to shovel it. This is the solder joint. Now you can see that this is the location of the solder joint. So we must shovel the position above it, not shovel too down. Let's remove the black layer first. It needs a little effort because it is very hard on it. But you need to try your best to handle on this plane, not down. In this green plane is the best and the safest. Along this plane. Let's shovel the RAM. If the blade is not sharp like this, replace it immediately. The new blade is definitely faster and sharper. Shovel along the green layer. A little bit shovel it the black plane. When you get this, you need to use the PCB holder to tighten it. Otherwise, it's all will run. Continue to shovel everything here. The glass layer is very hard. So the first step is to shower the glass layer. Because after showering the glass layer, the following is easy for you. Be careful when approaching here. Don't shower the inductor in this corner. Then shower it along the green plane. Everyone remember to use the tip of the blade to reach the bottom and gently pry it up. This corner is handled. You can see that most of the green layers have come out at this time. In fact, for example, the A10 CPU, it is quad-core chip, equivalent to 4 such glass crystal bases. If it is A8, A9 dual core, then there are only 2 glass crystal bases. So it is called a 2-core chip. Shower the black layer first. Be careful in the corner. You must not cut off the inductor next to it. At this time, the hard place of the A10 RAM was shoveled off. The following will be a lot easier. The quad core we just mentioned it. Here a core, here a core, here a core, and here a core. In this way, 4 positions, 4 glass crystals are 4 cores. If AA and A9 have only 2 cores and 2 positions, that is dual core. This is also the case in Apple Publicity, which is the crystal chip we work on. Okay, we'll deal with it after this layer. Let's change a new blade. Observe after replacing the blade. This time our blades are down. To use a new one, shower down. You can see that this is a green layer and the lower layer is yellow. After showering green, this layer is yellow. We continue to shower the yellow one. At this time you can see the glass. This is the middle glass on the surface of the CPU. Same with the glass of A8 and A9. Then continue to shower this. At this time the crystal came out. We will shower the other along the plane of the glass. Stick the knife against the flat surface of the glass. It is easier to shower close to this plane, according to the plane of glass. Let's shower out the other like this. Glass plane. At this time, the middle layer solder joints came out. This is also a layer on the top surface. But be sure to remember to do along this layer of glass surface. We continue to shower out these solder joints. These are our solder joints. First, shower off most of the green layer. And then handle the solder joints in detail. along the glass surface. The blade must be against the glass and then move. Can't be inclined like this. Keep it flat like this to move the blade. Keep flat with glass chip. This is to maintain a flat state. So we can shovel out this solder joint. Let's remove the other insulating layer first. At this time, we keep the glass flat and shovel out the solder joint. This glue is not a plane. Let's shovel out the solder joints according to this glass plane. If there is a certain residual temperature in the motherboard, using the air gun, we can shovel first. This time you can shovel these things. The hot air gun can leave after being able to shovel in, but still can't shovel in now. Now you can shovel it and the air gun can be removed. If it is not enough, then we can still blow. Handle this corner. Here too. Only through this glass plane can we shovel out these solder joints. If you don't keep the plane, when you install the CPU, the welding difficulty will be very high. So it is important to keep flat surface when install RAM. Shovel these glues. The white ones are also glue. Shovel all the glue. It is white glue. We have to shovel into this state to be completed. Pay attention to the corners. In the corner, we have no way to fit the glass, so it is more difficult. Then put this side along the glass to shovel. This glue is very obvious. This is what we shovel it out. treat the top side first. This white is glue. You have to shovel it off. The flatter the processing, the less difficult it is to install. There is still a bit of glue in this corner. Done at this time. There may a little white glue left on the glass. Handle it too. Every solder joint and the glue on it were shoveled out like this. Now the above is all original tin, which needs to be replaced. Add some flux. The purpose of changing the tin is to install the RAM for better contact. Use this tin wire. Then use a soldering iron to remove each solder joint, so that after a while it will get better contact. It is good for us to install the RAM. Take off every solder joint. After taking up, use the solder wick to clean the solder joints above. Let's see the effect after cleaning it. The temperature of the soldering iron of quick 1200 is 350. The temperature of the soldering iron doesn't really care too much, because the lower the temperature of the soldering iron, the better. But the premise is that you can take off the tin. This can be flattened by you. Then the temperature of the soldering iron is up to the standard. Otherwise, the lower the temperature of the soldering iron, the better. Okay, after cleaning, we are cleaning the pad. Use the cotton PCB water and wash. Cleaning. Observe the pad we deal with. This is the welding point of the lower layer and upper layer. We can install it directly after reboard the RAM. Let's cool down first. The A10 RAM, there is no way to blow it off with an air gun like A8 and A9. So we can only buy the bulk RAM on the market to install. This is not native. It may be produced by themselves. There is no A10 logo on it, but it can also be used. It is basically this kind on the market. For this kind of RAM, if there is tin on it, take it off. If you buy it like this, there is no tin, just reboard it directly. Then find our stencil. Use this ordinary tin stencil. Clean the stencil before planting tin. The most common ordinary stencil. If you use a common ordinary stencil, your familiarity with revolve may need to be higher. You can also avoid stencil platform. Magnetically positioned. In this way, the alignment and pressure tweezers can be omitted. This will also help you revolve. Of course, you can also buy the tin planting platform. But we use stencil net here in our class. First position. After aligning the position, we use 183 degrees tin. Use a paper towel to absorb the moisture of the solder paste. Then use this curved tweezer to press. Right position. Press it to plant in. Tweezers follow wherever tin is applied. When you add this, the tweezers move to this side. This will prevent it from bulging. If the tin is bulged, the tin ball will be bigger. The magnetic effect of this tin planting station. The role of magnetism is equivalent to tweezers to help you press. This will save you the step of pressing the tweezers. After adding the tin, the tweezers follow the air gun in a triangular shape. Temperature 320, wind speed 30. Let's blow evenly all around. In this way, the stencil will be absorbed on the chip and will not be swollen. Air gun follow wherever tin is melted. After revolve, don't rush to remove the blowgun. Blow around. Don't rush to take it down after blowing. First, check if there is no solder joint. Pick up the stencil. If there are solder joints stuck on the stencil, it is not soldered. Look at the tin planted just now. Then reset. Reset all solder joints. There is something dirty here. Take it away. This is our reset state. After resetting, you can put it aside to install it. After removing the upper cover, first go to measure if these 2 points are abnormal. If without the RAM, the 2 points are short-circuited during the daily measurement, it is very likely that the power layer of the CPU is also bad. Let's go to see if these 2 points have resistance. Okay, this has value. Let's take a look at this point first. Red pen grounded, black pen to measure. Also has resistance. Then let's take a look at the current. Let's take a look at the boot current in the upper right corner of the lens. Okay, this is the beating current of a CPU. It can be seen that the takeoff current will come back to its original position and then bounce back. Come back to its original position and then bounce back. This condition is called the beating current in the China industry. That current means without the RAM or the RAM not working. If this happens, remove the NAND is the DFU mode, flash. Without the NAND and removing the NAND, it is DFU mode. This NAND is the original NAND. This phone can boot normal before. If the NAND is replaced, it is DFU current without flash. So when you encounter the current of DFU, you can go to flash to see if the phone can switch from DFU to recovery mode and brighten the screen. If the phone cannot switch from DFU to recovery mode and the screen is not bright, this is also the RAM does not work. This current is normal, and then we can go to install the RAM. Check again before loading. Clean it around the upper RAM. There is still some glue here, remove it. Temperature 300, wind speed 30. Clean up the small amount of vinyl left on the chip next to it. Use this blade to dispose the glue next to it. This little black glue pushed the RAM and caused poor installation. These small details should be also noticed. This is the glue on the surface of the CPU. Observe if there is any glue on top. This part of the baseband should also be cleaned up. Then, after cleaning the pad, do not allow foreign objects on it. Foreign objects can also cause poor installation. Clean pad is also very important. Look at the pad again. Dots, no foreign matter. It is okay to leave a little bit of glue on the top. The size of our thin dots is enough to cover it. It will not affect what we install. Then if you put on the RAM, don't need to use rosin, just use flux. Inside, near the solder joint, the air gun is blowing next to it. Add some flux around the solder joint. This will apply flux everywhere. Just a little in the middle. Then we install the RAM. The RAM also has pin. There is an arrow on the back. There is a white arrow. Turn it over. There is also a pin position here. This is not obvious because it is a new RAM. We can follow this arrow. Here, there is a small arrow. There is a pin A1 here. Let's go to pin A1. Then we put it in the right location. This new RAM is a bit smaller than original RAM. So it is a little difficult to align. The size of the lower frame of this CPU will cover the size of this RAM. The lower level will be a little bigger than this later RAM. So we must align the position to prevent it from deviating. Bigger like this one. We can blow it right after we set it around. If it blows, the temperature is 380 and the wind speed is 30. Observe the bubbles when they are installed first. Rotate the air gun and blow the four sides. Because the solder joints of the RAM are all four sides, there is no solder joint in the middle. Let's blow around first. Wait for it to bubble. It is like boiling water. At this time, it has a moving itself. After moving, you can reset the RAM. Gently push. Can't push. If you can't push it, there is still no melting. Don't push hard at this time, otherwise it will short circuit. Okay, you can see the push. At this time, our soldering joint is welded well. Then wait for it to dissipate and measure the current. Generally, we use a small fan to dissipate heat. Why do we use this violent method? Because it saves CNC money. The price of a CNC is tens of thousands of RMB. Generally, we don't buy CNC equipment for maintenance. But when we really encounter the broken RAM, so we can only use this method to do this step. This method is definitely not safer than CNC. This is absolute. But this is also a feasible method, better than no method. In fact, there is a miniature polishing pen, a sanding pen the size of a screwdriver. You can also sand in it like this. Although it is slower, it is also a very practical method. Blade recommends everyone to use this number 17. It is soft, but it needs to be replaced frequently. Replace it if it is worn. We use this curved blade for edge glue cleaning. As for the stencil net and planting tin station, there is no planting tin station here. We generally use this multi-purpose tin planting net. There is also a planting tin platform similar to this PCB holder. It is magnetic on it. It can help you to lock the position. Can also replace the roll of tweezers. Next, let's measure the two lines on the RAM we put on. The first line has resistance. Let's measure another. The red pen is grounded and the black pen is measured. The second line also has resistance. Let me see the current. At this time it jumps. It is a jumping current. This is the board we just handled. I installed the screen to show you. Turn it on. We watch the current change. Sorry, the power cable is loose. Put it back. Let's reboot. Apple logo appearing. If the logo appears, the RAM must be working. Let's take a look at it. We are on the page and can be touched. This time, the upper cover installation is completed. Take a look at this circle. This is our A10 RAM. This shows that this method is feasible. Whether it is A10 RAM or A11, A12, A13 RAM, they are also the same method. Because the method of packaging is the same as A10. Unlike the A8 and A9, we can blow it down with a hot air gun. But this doesn't work. Its glue is very hard. It is very difficult to shower the bottom glue like we did just now. So remove A10 and 11, those are all using remove them together method. But when this kind of RAM is broken, you can still use this method. This method requires more practice, it has certain risks. If you blow the board and damage it in the first time, then lower the temperature appropriately. It may be a temperature problem, or it may be a speed problem. When you shower, increase the speed a little. This will also help the safety of the motherboard. Our CPU course is completed successfully. This is the last lesson. From CPU A8 to A13, including the RAM. We have a total of 7 lessons. In the installation and maintenance of the CPU, there must be failures or unexpected situations. This is very normal. We can only make more practice. There are more accidents, so we can solve more accidents. On the CPU, failure is very common. It is impossible to achieve 100%. But the more we do, the more skilled, the higher our success rate. Although our CPU course is over here. But there are also Face ID and Touch ID. The theory class can be learned and straightened yourself. Then we will see you in the new course in the future. Bye.